Welcome, everybody, to another great episode of Horror Nights. I'm your host, as always, Versace Stoner, with me, Mr. Victorson. And I brought with you today something someone. I'm hoping it's not a something. I'm hoping I didn't bring a demon upon the show, but just in case, it's okay.
Maybe 50-50.
But brought someone I met over the weekend at TerraCon. If you don't know what that is, it's a horror convention. It was in Marlborough, Massachusetts, 2 days over the weekend. Bunch of horror guests, movie stars and such, and then a bunch of vendors. And I probably hung out with more vendors than I did with the guests because A, they're not as expensive, and B, me and the independents. I am all about that scene. I'm all about, the little people pushing their productivity, whether it was in the wrestling world, whether it is in the independent horror world, whatever it is, I'm all about that. But with me today and with us today is Jessica Spinelli. Now, I would have had your book, but by the time I got to your booth, you were all sold out. So I had to buy it via Amazon, which I am waiting for the package. But that's a good thing. You sold out on like the first day.
First convention, so I didn't really know how many books to take, and it sold out the first day. So that was awesome. That's a good problem to have. But then I had to direct people to Amazon, and they don't want to do that right in front of you. So then I printed out like a little kind of scanning sheet, and that helped too. But now I know, first time.
So did you end up going back the second day?
I did, yeah. I went back the second day, and I just directed everyone to Amazon and kind of guided them along.
Hey, I mean, like I said, that's a good thing, though. You sold out of what you had. It's better than having to go home with more stuff than you expected.
Exactly. And I've heard that you don't take too many books because then you're ordering all these author copies and you're not going to need them. But I just kind of underestimated. And then I tried to order more at the last minute because I thought maybe I don't have enough, and they wouldn't get here in time. So, but it's still a good problem to have. I had other stuff for sale too, so.
Yeah, I saw actually some really cool spooky stuff. Yeah, I think like some masks and some other stuff that were kind of going, some like kind of dark stuff.
Yeah, some skull art. So I like to take skulls and kind of just modify them a bit. I had a little steampunk skull, and this other one was a dragon skull with obsidian, and jewelry made out of like recycled things that I find around.
Are you using real human skull or just skull?
No, these weren't human skulls. There was a fox skull and a deer skull.
I just asked because there was a cool taxidermist there, and he was doing like all sorts of stuff. Like he made the poster out of Silence of the Lambs with the real butterfly. Like,
oh, that's cool.
He had some really cool stuff.
There was some really next to us was a vendor that had some this pig fetus that was. It was adorable. I really wanted it.
There's always a good assortment of like vendors, and some of them have like quite the oddities. I've seen like monkey paws. I've seen all sorts of things.
Yeah, I think next horror convention I want to do a little bit of taxidermy, and I have some surprises with it.
Ooh, that's fun.
I have just only done one taxidermy in my life, so it's very new, but I still want to explore it more. So
what'd you make? What'd you sell?
I made a little mouse that is set up as a little director in a little director's chair.
Did you find the mouse just kind of in the house?
No, I actually took a class in Brooklyn. It was a taxidermy.
Oh, okay.
Class. So they gave us a mouse, and then we got to me and my best friend who actually was vending with me, Natalie. We took this class and we made these little mice, and it was awesome. So I want to do it again. You can actually go to like a reptile store or Petco and get the frozen mice, and you can make taxidermy out of those.
Really?
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting thing. I'd also be tempted to try to like do some like Herbert West reanimated shit and bring it back to life, though. I'd have like the green serum going, fogging it, stabbing it with green serum, seeing what happens.
See what else you can put in its brain to reanimate it. You're good.
Vic, we'll have a new podcast host soon. It'll be like the mouse with your voice via AI.
Mouse for Nolan because he's a director. But
yes, no.
I know you told me to behave this episode, but mark it down. I behaved for the first 4 minutes 25 seconds.
A good job.
You just gotta make it to 5 minutes.
Beautiful. Do you know that? You're really beautiful. You know that?
Oh, thank you.
You couldn't have made it to 5 minutes.
You got a booker on. I'm in a good mood now. I just today. I'm in a good mood.
I told you about what the ratio of these authors are like. It would make people read more.
A lot of female authors, yeah, they are.
No, but I mean, when you go to a lot of the events, I met a lot of authors, and I mean, a lot of the female authors that just present themselves in a sort of way, especially with their boots. You know, they dress it up. They make it dark. They come out with the gothiness. They make a show of it. Compared to, I mean, some of the guy authors were okay, but a lot of their tables and booths were just kind of boring.
Yeah, see the girls, we do take it to like we make it a whole aesthetic kind of
You
thing.
make it like like a whole almost environment. So when you walk in
it's
there,
an
you feel like, well, you know
experience.
what? I'm walking into this person's novel. I'm walking into this person's mind, a book, or whatever they're into.
Yes, exactly. It's an experience. So I mean, there's so many amazing vendors there that are doing all these cool things. So you have to find a way to kind of grab attention. So
Before we dive into your book and what you were actually selling, let me ask: did you meet any of the guests? Was there any of the guests that you were there to meet or wanted to meet? Any of the
well, I did meet a bunch of them. It was I didn't leave my booth all that much, but Jason, of course, he was awesome. He was really cool. And Simone, Pee Wee. And I think that's really all I got to really speak with. I was just kind of staying, you know, I didn't want to leave it. I kept feeling like, I don't know, I didn't want to waste the opportunity.
especially being the first one there,
My
first
first
time, you
convention,
never
like
know
my
who
first
you're gonna meet.
podcast.
Yeah, but you
I
never
mean,
know
I've
who
been
you're gonna
to a
meet.
bunch of horror conventions as an attendee, but this is my first time bending.
And I think it's a little bit of a difference because, like you said, you know, you want to be this person that you want people to know and see face, and like you never know who's walking by these booths. So to leave,
Yeah.
it's like, you know, who's going to be the next publisher walking by looking at these independent novels?
Yeah, I
Or,
don't
you
want to
know,
miss it. My friend, I gave, you know, she came and helped me, and she was amazing. And I gave her some. I was like, go wander, go meet, and she had a blast.
well, that's good. You
Yeah.
know, like I said, it was a really good time there. I got there, you know, I did the VIP, got an hour early. I met with Mark Holt in that first hour, which, you know, he was
Oh
in
yeah, because
Pee Wee.
you
He
were
was
there
in Pee Wee too.
that first hour was crazy on Saturday. I feel like I sold a ton of books just in that first VIP hour. That was awesome.
I would have bought it, but you know, like I said, you were actually the first vendor I stopped at, and all I had was literally those hundreds that I just taken out. So like, I had no other change. None of the guests were ready yet, so I couldn't even break change there. So I had to like wait and find other vendors and actually like spend some money. Which I mean, I did end up finding some stuff.
I mean, there's so much cool stuff there, so it's easy to
It
spend.
did. I actually finally bid. I've been looking for a first edition Halloween novelization for quite some time, and I actually found one that was in decent enough shape with the right price. So I grabbed that. An original 1980 Cannibal Holocaust print from Italy. A couple
Ooh,
novelty
nice.
items. And I
See,
met
those
with
are
the
things you
guests.
can only find at those conventions, though.
And then we got hit with the tornado, and we kind of just bounced and ran and left. And
Well, that was
ran
pretty.
in
Did you go
horror.
downstairs? Was really mellow. I gotta say, considering that we were all in a convention center and shoved into a basement, it was pretty smooth.
Okay, I'll be honest. We were
Did you
kind of
guys get hit?
I'll be honest. Me and my friend were kind of stupid. So me being the nervous person, I didn't want to bring all my stuff that I had signed out before it started raining. So I said, you know what, we're leaving. I took the stuff
So you
before it
rushed.
rained. I ran to the car, and where we were heading, I know for a fact wasn't in the county of the tornado warning. So I knew I was riding away from it. I was just hoping I'd make it in enough time. We made it
See
to the car,
behind
no
you, is there got a
rain.
twister?
We made it to the car, no rain. We make it up the street, no rain. All of a sudden, we hit the spot where the storm has entered, and it's the highway, of course. So, like everybody on
Oh
the
my
highway's at
gosh,
a
yeah.
dead halt, going 10 miles an hour,
It's
rain
scary.
poured, wind blowing.
If
Everybody
you get
got their
stuck on
hazard
there and
lights.
it comes, it's scary.
I got my phone buzzing, take shelter. I'm like, okay, look it. I know we're going the right direction. Just go as slow as we can. We'll be out of it. Luckily, we made it out of it and made it home. I know it was kind of stupid hindsight. We don't in my area of Mass. I mean, I'm from Mass too. I'm about 40 minutes out, but we don't get tornadoes in this area. We get like hurricanes, but you know, very rarely. But we don't
Every
get like the
once in a while,
tornadoes.
there's a tornado. I think Connecticut, 'cause I'm from New York originally, and we've gotten like very random tornadoes. But I think Connecticut had one, I don't know how many years ago. It's like every once in a blue moon, it'll happen.
Yeah, how bad did you get hit? Because I mean, we had the rain and we had a little wind, but it
I
wasn't.
heard
think it hit
Massachusetts
2
got like a couple
miles.
of
It
them.
hit 2 miles from where the
Yeah.
convention center was.
Because it was just like it wasn't nearly as bad here, and we had a tornado warning as well, but it was not nearly as
No,
bad.
I believe we even saw the funnel from the highway, to be honest, when we were
wow.
driving, like in the distance, further back. The sky was so black once we got out there. And just seeing, you're on a highway and you're surrounded by trees and things are like above you are flying, the tree branches,
Oh
like
my
the
God,
loose
that's
ones.
terrifying. Yeah.
I was,
Tornado,
I
you
was,
can't
I
mess
was
with
more
it. There's
scared of
nothing
that.
you do.
I'll be honest with you. Like, I don't get scared watching horror movies. I don't get scared reading horror. That shit scared me. I was more scared than that. That was like the pinnacle of all terror, just driving home in a tornado. Like, let's finish
See that?
Terracon by getting
Yeah.
terrified.
It's only death.
But like, I don't know, because we didn't see anything, because I didn't even look outside. We just went into the basement. Everyone was calm. No one was yelling. People were recording and kind of having fun. They set up a mock photo shoot down there. There's a video of like the celebrities just kind of like fake driving in a car, and it was pretty mellow and smooth considering
No,
everything.
I mean, that's the
So
cool
it was
thing
cool.
I have to say about that I've noticed about horror conventions in general
Everyone
is
was,
just
yeah.
everybody is just really cool. They just go with the flow. They're very chill.
No one's,
I
yeah,
mean,
no one
I'll
was
be
like
honest, like even
aggressive with each
myself,
other.
I
It
was
was
very
cool.
chill. Like normally, I got there at probably 1 minute prior before, that I was supposed to be, granted, because I was coming from this was right before the tornado. I was coming from the where they were doing the panels. It's in different buildings. You have to walk across. So I was walking across. I had my Elvira ticket in hand, ready to go. They finally figured out what they were going to do with her prepays because they were having some confusion. And they're packing up and they're going home. I asked very nicely, hey, can she just sign one and have you guys scan? No, they got, okay.
She was downstairs in the basement.
No, but I had already left at that point. This was right
Oh,
before.
oh,
And I
night
didn't know.
before. Okay.
So, yeah, this was before. So she ended up leaving. And they were like, you can come back tomorrow. I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to. But they're like, you can have a friend do it. Like, just whatever you can do. If not, if you want, refund it. But like normally in those cases, $100 item, I'd be like kind of heated.
Yeah.
I was just
I
like,
mean,
whatever. It's whatever. Like at the horror conventions, I just feel like the energy there is just very chill. Everybody's just happy to
everyone's
be
so
there.
nice, and everyone's like so like if you can engage with anybody there. They're just everyone's
Yeah,
cool.
like people that you normally wouldn't engage with, you just end up talking about horror with, which
Yeah, that's cool.
ends up being a great kind of talk piece. So is this your first book that you've written?
Yeah, it is my first book. So,
Okay.
I actually published it a while ago, about 2016, self-published it, but I kind of just let it sit there. So this year I've been really pushing it really hard. It's kind of been like a resurgence of it.
And what's the name and title of the book for the folks at home?
It's Diluted Reality. And can I pitch it? Should I pitch it?
Yeah, go for it.
So it is the idea of it, it's making of a villain, right? In essence. So it's not so much horror, it's a psychological thriller, I guess. It took me a while to figure out the right kind of genre. It's gritty realism, there's like a million little sub genres, but it's really, really dark. So it's dark in the sense that it messes with your mind more than like gore, but there is some gore in there. And it follows the main character, Xavier. It's written almost as if it's his memoir. And it follows him throughout his whole life, starting from childhood to adulthood. And he has a crazy, fucked up life. And it kind of follows him. And the idea is what makes a person kind of succumb to the darkness in them? Like, what makes them just kind of give in and say, fuck it, I'm evil. Like, this, you're not born evil, right?
No,
Things
it
happen
takes
to you
a
that you
series
become
of
that way.
events, series of
Yeah.
misfortune.
Misfortune and bad choices. So like there's some responsibility. So the character, you're always rooting for him. You're like, he's gonna make the right decision, and no. And you could see it though. It's very human decisions too. But then it just gets more and more twisted. And it's the type of book that's meant to leave you like. I remember one person told me that afterwards they stared at a wall for 20 minutes, just contemplating life. I'm like,
That's great.
yes, that's exactly what
I need
that's
to
what I
read.
want.
I need to read it. I mean, like I said, I'm into pretty dark stuff, whether it be via the gore, videos, or it be some kind of really psychological kind of like movie that leaves you just kind of like, what the fuck did I just watch or see
Exactly.
or read?
That's
Or
pretty much what this is. So
I've watched movies like even like Requiem for a Dream for like in like
that
like a
honestly,
week after.
that was
I'm
an
just like
inspiration.
blown
That was an
away.
inspiration. That's funny that you said that. Like that movie, first of all, is brilliant. I read the book. The
Book
book
is great.
is I gotta say though, that's one of the only movie that I think is better than the book. The
It's
book is
better
written in
than the
like
book.
1950s slang from Brooklyn.
Yeah, that's the only thing. It was like Coney Island. They were in Coney Island, but it
It
wasn't
was
really
great.
up to date. But what Aronofsky did with the cuts, the film, the short,
Yes.
just like the quick bleeps,
The
like
ending. The ending,
the ending
was
is
so
insane.
powerful.
But I've told this to like almost everybody I know. It's like I watched that movie in my 20s. I worked at Hollywood Video. My friend, that I worked with said, "You need to watch this movie." I never knew anything about Darren Aronofsky. I hadn't watched Pie yet. But I said, okay, I like weird movies. Let me check it out. And I'm watching the imagery. You got these quick blips. Like I said, you see them do the drugs, like, the eyes, the pupils dilate, things just go boop, 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 boop. Really quick, really cool cinematography in that movie. And between
super
that
artsy.
and the musical score is just, the music in that movie is a masterpiece. It's a total masterpiece. I forget who did the composer.
I don't remember either.
But
it was really well done. It was just to the edit. It like worked so well and enhanced it.
A lot of people I know after that, unfortunately, got into harder drugs and got into stuff. And that movie actually deterred me from doing so much stuff.
Well, it shows you the gritty, shitty. So there is a
because I didn't want to end up in jail. I didn't want to end up with no arm. I mean, I'm not a female, but I mean, she didn't end up in a good way.
No.
Even the lady trying to lose weight, taking the stimulants, she lost her mind. Like everybody lost to the end of that they could lose, and it shows that depravity. Where a lot of things that I witnessed, they don't show that darkness of the drug side. If they do, the people just die. Nobody died. They were just stopped it.
I mean, this shows you, so that my book delves deep into drug addiction as well, and it just shows you like the gross realistic aspect of what happens, because it gets dark, but it gets like sensationalized in movies sometimes, but it's not pretty.
Well,
so the book definitely goes there.
You think about, let's say, the drug cocaine, right? Oh, Tony Montana, yeah, I got a big pile. I'm living in a mansion. Okay, we're glorifying it now. But now if you look at the average cocaine addict, they're out doing God knows what to supply their habit on something that they probably don't even want to do at this point anymore. And it's like there's a whole gritty side and there's a whole like...
Yeah, the addiction side, like when they fall
the addiction, and addiction is... what it really does is, when I was younger, I used to drink a lot, and it dehumanizes you. It takes away your humanity. It turns you into
it's your whole focus of existence, and it becomes just like your what you it's like in the book. It also delves into it's the problem and the solution, right? It's everything that everything you wake up thinking about at that moment, and it drives your whole day. And when you're that far, when you're super addicted, so it shows you kind of the book definitely delves into the decline of how it takes over everything and how you lose everything. So it goes there too. So I triggered by that. It goes pretty deep with that.
But I can appreciate that because it's stories like that. It's deep, dark stories like that need to be read or shown to teach.
It's the human experience, right? It's happening.
I know, for instance, in the movies, a lot of people hate the movie Megan is Missing. They think it's crazy, disgusting, dark, dirty. But at the end of the day, it's a very important movie, and to show why the hell not to talk to strangers and trust them online.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's some pretty dark aspects of our real world that I know we focus on these crazy horror movies, and yes, that is fun to watch. But then when you think about what really happens,
turn on the news. I mean, some lady just bled to death and nobody did anything, and that's on the news, and it's well. Okay, you know what? At that point, and even for myself, it's those kinds of things will kind of get me. So I'm better off just resorting back into where I feel safe and happy. That's the horror world. At least I know the gore there is fake.
Get the crazy slashers.
Well, what happened to Charles Kirk? I mean, you might not agree with his views or whatever, but he spoke his mind. And when you're podcasters like us who speak our minds, you hear something like that, and you just kind of makes you feel a little bit, shit, can that really happen to us?
No, we're not big enough. We're not big enough.
The world is just crazy right now.
You don't know.
It's sad,
you never know. We're big enough.
But at that point, when real life or the news becomes scarier than what people are writing, it almost becomes a safe haven to go into that.
A place to kind of world, escape. Unrealistic, fantastical, violent, beautiful world.
It is, because the violence there is violent, but it's also not real.
Not real. Yeah.
I mean, I'm wearing a Cannibal Ferox shirt. It's a pretty violent ass movie. It's brutal, but it's a movie. It was made to entertain or to make you feel a certain way. it's not real life. It's not somebody out there doing something or real life harming somebody or real lives attached. You're watching a movie. I've learned very young, when I watch on TV, yes, I get involved, but it's not
It's
the same as
different.
a
There's
real
like,
person.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's not, you're not like, you can't picture yourself in that position. So when it becomes, I think things that are dark in the sense that where you can actually put yourself in that position or people is when it gets crazier because you're like, oh, like this can happen, you know?
It can, and it's kind of scary, but luckily we do have these kind of places. I would say, just in general, people in general, we have places to put these, emotions. So not everybody is out there harming. You know, there's healthier ways. People do make film. People do make art. They do make books. They make
Yeah,
edgy products. They do things, and they use their,
as an
anger,
outlet.
whatever, towards creativity, and that's perfectly fine. I've seen some of the darkest films. I'm going to probably interview some of the directors at some point, but I'd love to know the inspiration. But I mean, even if it is, hey, I was going through a really rough patch in my life, and this was my escape. Kudos. That's great. You did something that didn't harm anybody using creativity.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
use it as an outlet.
I,
So,
I do like to ask Jessica, what was her motivation, like with writing this book? Like,
so honestly, this is gonna sound weird too. It's like this character, Xavier, existed in my head for so long. His whole story existed in my head. And I would tell people that, like, oh, is it maybe you were him in a past life? I'm like, God, fucking hope not, because I'm gonna be like having a karmic responsibility for a really long time. But no, I don't know. It just, this story existed in my head for a really long time. And I was actually living in Australia at the time.
Ooh,
And I
what
just
part?
felt I was in Melbourne.
Oh, I had my cousins lived there too. They lived in Melbourne for a few years.
Oh wow, cool. Yeah, I did a study
Yeah.
abroad there. So I was there and then I
Oh,
stayed
nice.
a little longer. And the story always existed in my head and I just was there and I'm like, you know what, I need to write it out. And the guy I was dating at the time in Australia would play guitar. And so every night he would play guitar and I would write. And it was like this parallel creative kind of thing going on. And I wrote this book, but then I would take the book and literally like be walking down the street. I was going to school there and I'd just be constantly writing. It was handwriting it. And it was all there. Like the whole story was there. Well, majority of it was there. And like nothing, I'd say in terms of like the first time I read, I don't know if you ever heard of the author Poppy Z. Bright. So she is
No, I'll be honest,
she's
I
from New
have not.
Orleans. It's like she's a horror author and she also like she's pretty edgy. So I read her book um Lost Souls many years ago and it was about cannibals
Ooh,
and it was awesome and it really made me want to
I'm gonna have to read that. I'm a cannibal person,
oh
but
and
yeah.
it's no, Exquisite Corpse, sorry. Lost Souls is her book that kind of launched her into fame. Exquisite Corpse is the first book that she wrote that is a cannibal book. That's the book you got to read. I love it.
I
And
mean, I'll
then
be
you want to
honest.
write.
I do more film than read because of just a timing. I wish I had the time to sit and read, so I end up reading like a lot of short stories. If I do read, I try to read in like long sessions. Otherwise, if I put the book down for more than like 3 weeks, I end up having to reread what I
Oh
read,
yeah, because yeah, like Lost the World.
especially when I'm doing everything else. But if I can get into a good book, if not, I try to get audiobooks just because I can do that in the car or
No,
while I'm
audiobooks are
doing
fun
other
too.
stuff.
There's something called graphic audio where you actually has like a full cast and sound effects and music, and
Oh,
that's
that's
really
cool
cool.
because some of them are
Yeah,
doing that now. I've seen my wife does that a lot too. She gets these audiobooks and they have almost like a character actor reading it. They're talking in
yeah.
different voices. It's like kind of like the old like it reminded me of like the old Twilight radios, like Twilight Zone radio shows they
It's
used to
kind of like
run.
that, yeah. And then just picture it in your head. But I love those. Those are fun. I mean, I'm
Uh,
definitely a big reader. I actually haven't read. I used to read like a book a week, but I'd say this past year is just I don't know. I've been like full creative mode, so I'm like
yeah,
creating a lot more.
that's kind of like me too. Like I don't know. So like I can watch movies because like I can watch a movie while I'm on my computer doing something else. It's hard for me to read and then do something else, and I'll start
You
reading and then I'll
can't,
be like,
yeah.
oh, I want to write about this. And then I'm like, because like I'm in the middle of like doing a couple of short horror films, and so like I'll get in like an inspiration moment, like, oh, I want to write about this, and you really can't like read a book in one hand and be like writing in another.
No,
Where it's
yeah,
so
you're
much
like sitting there
easier
doing that.
to kind
That'd
of
be
just
pretty
watch.
talented if you could
It
do that.
would be, it would be. But it's so much easier like to watch the movie and just be kind of, oh yeah, okay, I can type
Yeah, in the
along.
background playing.
and that's what ends up happening. But I do, try to read, especially the people that I meet. I try to give it a good give. When I'm hoping your book comes in actually today. It's supposed to come in either today or tomorrow. Hopefully
I should
today.
have one up here with it on the cover. I don't have
I
one
know.
up here.
I was hoping to have it. Usually I have them in time. I was hoping to have it that day, like I said I would, but it is good that you sold out. I mean, that's a good thing that you didn't have the book when I came back, because that was like day one at about 4:30 in the afternoon. So that's good.
Yeah, it was fast.
Was it
Way
faster than you
expected.
anticipated?
Yeah, well, I just didn't. I don't know. I didn't think that people would be. I wasn't sure how people would be. I thought it was more like maybe I'll meet people and talk about it and get people interested. But it was good though. It was a good experience.
Now let me ask you: did you feel like you had to pitch yourself a lot, like a pitch man out there, or did you feel like a lot of
you have
people
to
came
repeat
to
the
you?
pitch because they want to know what the book's about. So it's like you got to repeat the pitch over and over and over and over again.
But like, do people stopping by to you though, and just
again.
kind of interested too, though, as well?
Yeah, I think it's like the whole kind of they walk over and they catch their attention and then they talk to you and then it's just everything, I think. So I think it's the presence, it's how you interact, it's what the book's about. And then I have all the triggers though. So I want to make sure people read what the trigger warnings are because it's an intense book. And so certain things, it's like people are like, oh, I love dark books. I've had several times where someone said they can handle darkness and they're like, this is just darker than I expected. I'm like, so I made sure that people know what triggers are in there that they, in case.
Yeah, like that's like you, Victor. You've only gotten to the surface level. Next, we're watching August Underground and Necromantic. And then you're just gonna be at a whole new level. You're gonna grow hair when I'm done with.
It's gonna be so bad. Oh my god! People complained. People cried. It made people throw up in the theaters. I saw that and I was like, "It's real life."
Those were just the two cannibal movies. That's the top level.
There's some necrophilia in my book, by the way.
Necrophilia is a great topic to talk about. But the movie Necromantic is on a whole nother level if you've never seen it.
I have seen it. I have seen it at a friend's house. It was like one of those things that was playing, and every time you look over, you're like, "What the fuck?"
What am I watching? But yet you got to keep looking because it's like, what am I seeing?
Yeah, you're like,
I haven't seen this before. And like I said, the same thing. August Underground series, great show. I've been actually in talks with director Fred Vogel. He should be coming on the show at some point, and actually going to pick his brain a little bit because those movies were pretty dark.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen them, he's done actually 8 works in total, and a new one that's out right now, which is a totally different genre, seeming like. But people don't understand really how dark things can get, or how dark people can write or make a film. There has to be some sort of trigger warnings. I was reading it the other day. Actually, there was a debate going on in like one of the chats, and someone was like, "Well, trigger warnings aren't necessary for a horror movie. People should just be it's horror." And other people are like, "Well, no, because there's different degrees of horror that have different things." And I agree with that. You need the trigger warnings for 2 reasons. One, because you don't want to trigger anybody's real life trauma. You never want to do that. But it can happen if you're writing or making something that's really realistic. And if the viewer can't tell the difference between the realism, which is what you want, you don't want that to trigger the people. So they might just skip it. The second reason, honestly, is also for instance, certain horror movies I would let my son watch because it only has, mild violence or fake enough gore, but it skips the sexuality part. I don't mind him watching that. But if it has a bunch of, rape scenes and a bunch of dark shit going on that way, my kid, I don't let him watch those movies. He's out of that, He'll be back at the Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, no.
When was the last horror movie your kid watched?
I have a mother that wants to protect him in a bubble.
Okay. I'm just saying, but there's certain things that I wouldn't let him watch just because he's not. I wouldn't let him watch Necromantic.
No,
I wouldn't. There was that one scene I showed him. I don't know if you can recall this, Jessica. Cabin in the Woods. When they it was like they captured all like the government captured all like the major horror characters, and then the 2 people trying to escape, they open up the elevators and have all the demons and everything come out to kill the soldiers.
Oh, I don't remember.
And it's like, I showed that to my son, and he just looked at it, and he's like, "That's too much blood." Tossed me the phone back and just walks away.
How old is he?
He's 6.
You should let him watch Baskin.
I just almost seen it.
It's a foreign film. It's in like Austrian. It's graphic, but it falls into it.
You seen Chucky kill someone, and he was just like, eh.
Well, Chucky's a
Yeah,
toy.
my son got really traumatized by Benny Loves You, and he was probably 7. Did you ever see Benny Loves You?
Yeah, actually, I have.
Yeah, and in the beginning scene, so like when the bear cuts out the little girl's eyes, so it was like 6 or 7, and he saw that, and it was just like it traumatized him. It was a bad move.
But
So,
I mean, I think that's what it is. Like at some point, I remember. I mean, as a kid, I was scared of these slasher movies, watching Halloween and watching Friday the 13th, or watching these movies and getting scared. And then it turned to a certain point that all of a sudden I wasn't scared anymore.
Yeah, but we went like this. Like, I can't watch.
And then it's going to like
I
now
hold my ears.
I go to bed
ears.
watching these things.
Yeah.
I turn on and they help me fall asleep at night. It's like at some point.
Well, I think it's also different personalities. Like me and my dad would watch horror movies when I was really young, and it was like our thing. We'd get Dove bars, the ice cream Dove bars.
Yep.
We get a Dove bar. It was like a whole experience. There's a Dove bar movies on. We go to the movie theater. We go to the supermarket, get the Dove bars, and we watch these horror movies. And it was, I loved him. He loved him, and he knew that I could handle them. And sometimes
that was
like nightmares. Like Freddie gave me nightmares.
That was like my dad. He kind of pushed the horror at me. He was like, "You're gonna watch this shit. If it scares you, it scares you." But then like, it also trusted me, so I was able to like go to the video store and rent a horror film, and them not be like, "Oh, no worries." Like, no, I couldn't go to the adult section, but yet I could rent, the R-rated horror film because my dad said I could rent horror.
Like, I got the permission.
and yeah, he kind of like trusted me with that. And I would look forward, especially back then before the TV, the VHS was just kind of hitting the thing, but it was still expensive. There was no DVDs, there was none of that. So you'd wait till these times a year like Halloween season where they would play this stuff on TV.
It'd be so
and
exciting.
Just watch these marathons and just
AMC, yeah.
Just scare the shit out of yourself for 24 hours. And it nowadays we're a little spoiled. We have, we can find anything we want almost
so
on
accessible.
demand.
That was exciting. It was more exciting when it was like very rare,
It is. You kind of wait for it. But like I said, at some point we either become desensitized to it or we just enjoy it or we see for the art that it is.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's a little bit of all three. I see for what it is. I look at, the video shots. What are they doing with it? What's the cinematography?
That's how I look at it. The art. It's art. It's how it all comes together visually. Even haunted houses. I'll go in a haunted house and I'll look at it as like artwork. Like, how did they put this together to kind of create this?
And the same thing with books. Sometimes I'll even read books and be like, and just for fun, I'll turn it into a script or write a smaller, shorter, like kind of like short horror video for it or something that would be like, how could I turn this into something that could be visual?
Yeah.
I've read things like that or done that because I've read things that have inspired me. But yeah, even when you're like I said, you're reading, a good horror novel, you're reading something scary, you get enthralled in it, but it makes you kind of think and wonder, for me, it's inspiring. It all inspires. Seeing other people's creativity inspires something in me.
I mean, that's like the ultimate compliment for somebody to create something is to inspire someone else to create, I think.
It does. And seeing, people do it in different mediums.
Yeah.
Whether it is writing, whether it's music, art, video, to me, if like I always tell everybody, if you can sell your creativity even for $1, somebody buys something of yours that you made, you drew, that you sang, you're a success. You sold your creativity. Not everybody can do that. That's almost like printing money if you're really good at it, because then you just start, making things on the fly. I've seen people open up booths and draw character drawings, and they're making, $25 a person, and they're selling out and they're doing whatever, and it's just like, that's a talent. The same thing with writing. Now, you wrote this in 2016. You said you kind of put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
You got it out there. You said self-published. I've done a few books like via Lulu and Lulu Press and such. It's not easy to self-publish. I mean, it's
No,
easy in the
this is
sense
through
of
the
getting it.
Amazon site. It was back then. I think 2016 was like people self-publishers were not respected. It was kind of like, ooh, you're self-published. But I shopped it around for a bit, and that's what I think. I shopped it around. It was just I didn't have a genre for it, and it was so dark that I didn't know really properly how to pitch it, and it wasn't quite horror, but I didn't know what other category it could fit into. So yeah, just and then I think now dark so there's a genre called dark romance, which is like just fucked up romance stories, and they're really popular right now, and they're really some of them are really really fucking dark.
Yeah,
And
that's because everybody loves the Joker and Harley Quinn love story. They want that.
yeah,
They
and they
love
want
that.
that toxic fucked, and some of them are really dark and they're great.
It
I love
is.
that genre, but
I
it's
mean, I'll be honest with you. I think the whole world got a couple shades darker after 2020 and COVID.
yes,
I think everybody,
100%.
and now people are into that. I mean, you even see the humor trend. People got these dark humor sites that are doing very well,
Yeah,
telling the
there was
most
never
rancid
before.
jokes.
It was not cool before. It was weird before. Now everyone's just like they're getting in touch with that part of themselves.
It's like, oh shit, everybody's turning a shade dark. But
Yeah.
that and that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be bad. It's what you do with that darkness. If you take it and start,
Oh yeah.
channeling your inner creativity and you start making these dark products, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've always been like I live in this really pretty beach town in Connecticut. And I always feel like like the Adams family of the town, but like people now I think too also just not necessarily you could see dark there is beauty in darkness. Doesn't necessarily mean all that fucked up kind of aspect of it, but there's beauty in darkness, and if people are seeing it more, I think.
There is. I grew up in, I said, I'm an 80s kid, but I used to hang out like goth clubs and stuff in the early 2000s and go out
Yes.
and, the goth scene was very dark, but it was a lot of beauty, a lot of just glamour.
Yeah.
People would be showing off their, 6 feet high boots. They didn't care. Like everybody was just a model, but they were dark models. It was wild. It's like kind of like if you ever seen that movie Club Kids, or I think it's with Monster Party.
Oh, the monster, right? I just think it's just Party Monster.
Party Monster with Macaulay
Yes.
Culkin.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's kind of like that. You got these club kids just being whatever and doing whatever and just very
Oh yeah, I was
free.
going to New York City to those crazy clubs. So some of the goth clubs was Mother, the Batcave, because I'm from New York. It was fun times, millions of years
Yeah,
ago.
and
None of life ago.
it's different now. Even the clubs that have reopened or have stayed open, they're not the same, and things are different. But just to experience that, just to take that, it's like we were at that point where people were embracing their darkness, and then kind of it went away, and I think now it's come back.
Yeah, I mean, there's like very normal people that you would think that you would never expect to be reading certain books that are like loving them. So again, like mine doesn't have a happy ending. It's not
Good though; it
a
doesn't need one.
romance. So it's a different type of darkness, but like still people I think who probably before would have been afraid to read something like that are actually more open to it.
Well,
So
you got to remember, we come from, and I compare it to horror movies because it's what I compare and contrast a lot of times, the American version and the foreign film that came prior to that. And I have noticed the big, the trope, the trend is, the foreign film will have this deep, dark ending that, is very, and it's just like, what? Oh God. Oh no. Like
it
like a
leaves you
movie
like
like,
fucked up and like uncomfortable.
yeah, like in the movie, Don't Speak, I think is a Don't Say a Word, in the original version, they end up getting away, kidnapping the kid, cutting his tongue out, killing the parents. End of story. Gruesome ending. The American come along, remake the film. The mother ends up becoming a hero. She ends up
You need a
saving the
happy
daughter,
ending. You like your happy
and it's
ending.
like
Yes.
same thing. Like even with Martyrs, the original Martyrs was much better than the new Martyrs. It wasn't the same. But a lot of foreign films, America likes the hero, so we end up changing it. It doesn't become so grim. It becomes more of a instead of like life, like comes almost more blockbuster like, and it's like,
Yeah, just have to wrap it up. People just want that, I guess, that like closure feeling.
See,
My
I hated
original,
that.
I
That's
don't know,
what I
my
loved
original
about like
version had,
Halloween. You
what is
always
that?
end. Sorry to cut you off. That's what I loved about Halloween. Like Michael Myers would always be alive at the end of the movie to kind of say, "Oh shoot, he's coming back," or he's still there.
Yeah, you didn't kill him. It failed. But like
Um,
the idea is that I think, again, people are more open to that. They weren't always open to that. My original ending was actually was it was depressing, but it was a little happier in terms it felt like it kind of there was more closure. And I read it. I'm like, you know what? This doesn't work. It's not what would happen. So I kind of changed it all to fit what I saw. Like regardless if that's what people want. This is
Look at we talked about Requiem for a Dream a little earlier. I mean, that's not a happy ending at all. Everybody is suffering very sadly and badly. But at some point, that's what the realism of it is. That's where the realistic parts have come in. That's where the people are going to get in tune or in touch with the book and be like, that's where the lingering ends, you know?
Yeah.
If it's not real enough or you know, you got this happy ending, oh, it's nice, but will it actually linger with the person? Will it change their thought? Will they, you know, kind of ponder upon it? And probably not. It's those dark endings, those deep twists, those what the fuck moments that have us, you know, at night thinking, damn, what did I just read or what did I just watch? It's not the happy endings. It's not the shit that we expect.
And it's just it didn't fit the character. Like he wouldn't like it just didn't it wasn't I thought I don't know. I guess originally I wanted to go that route and then I'm like, this is not him. So it's like this is not what would happen to him.
So when did you decide to kind of pick this up and re-push it into the public, Si?
So earlier this year, so I have my son plays baseball and there was a baseball mom. I'm a baseball mom. There was a baseball mom who her friend read my book, which was I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, right.
Like,
I always get nervous. Kids are like watching my show and shit, and I'm just like,
oh no. But her friend is we had similar taste in music and stuff like that. So she complimented it and like went and did a like a review for me, and it made me think about my book again because I kind of just I would post it on holidays on social media and people like I have like scattered like purchases and stuff like that, but I didn't push it, and it made me reread it myself. And I reread it. I'm like, this is a badass book. I need to do something with this. So like January, maybe February, I started to really kind of looking into like how could I market it, and so it kind of kickstarted then.
I mean, horror conventions are the like best place to do it. I think.
Yeah, I wish I did thought of that earlier. This was the first, like it was not that like a month or so ago. I'm like, I should do conventions.
I'll be honest, this is my first year of going to horror conventions. I started going in the beginning of the year to Monster Expos, and then you know I went to 2 of them, and then I went to this one here that we just went to, and now I'm going to Silver Scream this weekend. Then
that one looks cool.
And then Connecticut Horror the following weekend. And now I'm debating Jersey that last weekend just because there's all these guests and I'm like stuck in this.
Is that so there's Chiller Theater. So from New York, I used to go to Chiller Theater and Monster Mania. And those are so awesome. Those are great.
Yeah. And now I'm kind of just hooked and you know, wanting all these 8x10s and all this stuff signed. And I'm just like, every weekend.
I spit on your grave poster at Chiller Theater. And I've been like, it's so hard to find. And in all my moves, I've lost it, and I need another one. And that's like
that's funny. That's funny you say that. I'll be right back. Let me show you what I bought at the last convention I went to. Hold on.
Okay. We lost our other guy. He disappeared on us. If he has I Spin on Your Grave poster, I need it. Anyone wants to send one to me.
So at the last convention, I don't know if it's going to be seen. I'm actually going to turn off the visual effects so I can there we go. So I ended up with this signed.
Oh, where would you get that from?
This was when I at Monster Expo when I went last time there, signed by Camille Keaton.
Yeah, mine was massive. It was like a massive movie. Oh, it was beautiful.
But yeah,
I don't know what happened to it.
I love the posters. I love getting the art. Like I said, last show I ended up with a 1980s Cannibal Holocaust print from Italy, and I ended up with that book. And
well, I love that that poster is just like I don't know. It's like my favorite.
It is.
My colors, black, red, and white are my colors.
You know what it is for me is a lot of these covers are that's what sold me as a kid of what I was gonna rent. Like movies like Color Me Blood Red by Hearst in there. Like I would see the cover of that movie and just want to rent it because it looked gory. Like certain covers resonated me
Oh
with it
yeah,
as
they
a
just
kid.
click, especially when you're like Blockbuster, when you see all those big covers like that, you're like, ooh.
Yeah, the oversized ones, and it's
Yes.
like so you end up just knowing the cover for the cover, and you could tell what was a good movie and a bad movie just by the cover for some
Yeah.
odd reason.
Books work that way. People do the same thing with books.
I know they say don't judge it, but once you read enough of them, you kind of can.
Well, it's what grabs your attention, right? It's like it's the first thing you see. So
Especially in today's age, I think where people, they have to grab your attention and grab it fast because we're such a needy.
oh, very
Our
short.
attention span is very needy, so it's always like somewhere, and if it's just not here for too long, then it's gonna go the next spot. So if you don't grab somebody within those like first minute, they're already on
I
to
think it's
the
even
next
less.
thing.
I forgot. It's like the first. It's a certain amount of seconds. I can't remember offhand that you have to grab someone's attention, and if you don't grab it within that amount of time, it's been studied. Then you lose it. It's crazy. But it's very short. It's less than a minute.
Yeah, and just like I said, we're in that era of time, unfortunately, where folks are just home scrolling through their phones, going through minute reels. If it looks good, cool. If it doesn't, they're just swiping, 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 swiping. And we've
Yeah.
gotten very accustomed to that to almost every aspect of our life is like, oh, if it's not, quick enough, we're just going to pass and move along. Like nobody has patience for stuff. Nobody really has the long game in mind anymore. Everybody's very quick gratification. Amazon
Yeah.
hasn't, Amazon 2 days. Some stuff's here, in 4 hours.
Yeah. I can't wait a day. I need it now.
And I'm from now it's like I get something off of Amazon because they don't have everything, and I'm like I'm waiting forever. I'm like, what the hell? And normally it's like everyone's like, well, that's his normal time. And I'm just so used to Amazon
Which
time,
is
things being here
spoils.
instant. I'm spoiled.
Yeah. Oh, you're back.
You're welcome back, boss. Call. Everything good?
Yeah, it is good.
Very good.
Yeah, we all get spoiled and we have no patience, and it's just, then we breed the next generation to have no patience because they're even growing up with like never
I
being
taught my
bored.
kid patience. He unpatient himself. He made himself unpatient. He taught himself YouTube. He taught himself Roblox. He taught himself
But they're
all
never
this shit.
bored. They're never bored because there's always some kind of immediate something. So
My son's learning how to spell with all the stuff he watches on YouTube.
Oh, that's
He
good.
watches Cartoon Cat. Well, how do you spell Cartoon Cat? C-A. He's like, types out C-A-R-T.
they
I
learn
was
stuff
like,
though, but then they all
shit. Mother hates watching this stuff, but it's like he's learning how to spell.
no, there's certain ones they do learn from, but at the same time, it's just that they don't they're never bored though. Like if they're waiting in line, they're looking.
Well,
at
see, like
notes.
coming from a wrestling world and having, being when my kid was younger, doing a lot with wrestling. I taught him similar to the hard world. A lot of stuff is, showmanship. A lot of stuff is fake, not to the extent of, what happens isn't real and people don't get hurt and people don't, but like because I had to do a spot one time where I was like, interviewing somebody like hit me, attacked me, and he watched me and he was all upset, and my friend had to tell him, don't worry, he's okay. And like so after I had to explain to him, like, look, I had a show and it's part of film, it's like part of theater. And so like like I said, I will let him watch certain horror movies because he knows that this is cinema, this is theater, that is gore, this is brought in special effects. Sometimes he'll be like, oh, that's really cool. Sometimes he'll be like, that's lame. But he's also from like the era where he watches like Mr. Beast and stuff, and they do special effects. So like, he's in tune of what's real. He can play a video game, be like, this is not real life. You can't really do this. I can't really drive a car this fast or go in this direction or do any of this. This is cool just for the game's sake.
Yeah,
He
they
gets
understand
all
the
that at a very
difference.
young age. So like with that, I give him a little responsibility. Like you want to watch something a little, like I said, I draw lines with the sexuality, but with some of the violent thrillers, he wants to watch Halloween, he wants to watch, Freddy Krueger, he wants to watch something. He knows that, it's a
It's
movie.
make believe, yeah.
It's somebody's, wrote this movie, somebody starred in it, especially now with the terror stuff. Like he's very excited actually for me to go to this next convention because he wants me to meet Matthew Lilley because he's a big Five Nights at Freddy's fan.
Oh,
And
cool.
and
Yeah,
of course he knows him from Five Nights at Freddy. I know him from Scream, but he knows him from Five
exactly.
Nights at Freddy. So he
I
wants
still
me to
see
go get a
Pump
photo
too.
with him and get something signed. And so like I'll do that. But but he knows that that's an actor. He plays him. He's also played Scooby Doo and Shaggy, and he's done all these other things. So like he gets that. So I allow that. I think that's, kind of what my dad did by throwing these movies at me getting scared, but then at the same time being like, it's okay, this isn't really real. This movies. We're watching movies. He says, I'd get scared, be like, but don't worry, that was only number 3. There's 4, 5, and 6. He dies in the 6th one. He'd just lie to me and be like, he's dead in the 6th one. You don't need to worry. Because I'd ask him, be like, did they kill Michael Myers? He'd be like, yeah, like in a couple later. Don't worry. He wouldn't tell me that he was still alive. He refused. He wouldn't tell me. But I would get nervous about that shit at 4 or 5. I'd be like, what do you mean he's still out there? But then later,
like you can't sleep looking at the, like, well, he's coming here.
But then, me and Vic talked about it, and we figured out, like, okay, if you weren't an Elm Street kid, you don't got to worry over there, right? You don't go fucking around in farms in Texas, you don't got to worry about that family. You don't go fucking around in the lake, you don't got to worry about Jason.
You see, this is they went on his property in Crystal Lake. Therefore, he was a property owner defending his land. That's what it is. They killed his mother. They killed him the first time. Of course, you enter my property, I'm going to be swinging.
None of these people will get you if you don't fuck around and find out. If you just stay and mind your own business.
Cannibal Holocaust. Common sense is don't mess with the tribes in Brazil. In the Amazon. That's common sense. You get your nuts chopped off, they eat it for just appetizer. That's a you problem. You should have been fucking around. Sorry.
No, I agree with that. If you look at the tropes, a lot of it is, but but those are those choices we make, right? Like you were saying, these good choices, bad choices. It's not always just circumstances. Do we decide to do these bad things? You just mentioned like Cannibal Holocaust. They did terrible things when they were over there. Same thing with Cannibal Frogs. Guy was a criminal. He did a bunch of serious choices that caused his demise.
Like,
it doesn't have to be
yourself,
such,
man.
but there's other things like people do every day that cause their own demise that might not be as serious or as illegal, but they're still bad choices, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna get real drunk. I'm gonna jump behind the wheel and I'm gonna do 150. Let's go. These are a series of bad, terrible choices.
Your whole life.
Yeah, but I think those choices and those predicaments and having those, like you said, like. Those are the things that, again, kind of scare the psychological thrill.
Yeah. Because it's like you might make that bad choice. It's at least in this book, it's like you never. I do feel that you never expect a lot of his choices, and then you're like, what the fuck?
It's like, really, dude? Why the fuck are you gonna do that?
It's like Saw, the first one. At the end of it was like, what the fuck? And it's like, yes. Then they
people feel like that. It's just like, oh my god.
Then they start more gory, and you're like, it's cool, but the first one was just a mind fuck.
It's like Donnie. That's like Donnie Darko. You're like, what? I gotta watch that again now.
I watched it twice.
Sometimes I do watch the movies twice if they're.
I don't blame you.
If they're really good, yeah. If they fuck with me and I'm like, okay, or I'll take a break and then try it again and see if we could.
I got the code days like, no way, turn it on. Like Human Centipede.
If they really fuck with me, I try to show it to somebody else really fast. Almost like fucking like if it's like the movie from freaking The Ring. Like I gotta show it and send the curse to somebody else quick.
Get rid of this.
I don't want to I just don't want to just know this movie exists by myself.
I don't want to be the only one involved in this.
Yes. Just in case. But no, there's some of these movies you watch, it's like, damn, especially now in today's world, like there's so many streaming apps and they're able to get so many movies that weren't around or independent film and directors are able to get their films out there. So like you get a whole entourage of good, bad, ugly, scary, crazy, wild movies.
And people's limits are all, like they push limits now too. So
the limits, there is no limits. I mean, even like, you mentioned the Cannibal Holocaust, but in the 70s or 80s, when the 80s, when that movie came out, the guy was dragged to jail. They thought he made a snuff film. They dragged him to jail.
Big deal.
It was huge. At the last con, the people from Blair Witch Project were there. They were talking about how they had to disappear from media. Heather had to disappear and not make appearances. She wasn't actually, like, they were saying, like, they weren't able to enjoy the glory of the movie even succeeding because they weren't able to even go to the premieres or be around. They had to have
Oh,
the
yeah, that's
appearance
right, because they had to pretend that it was kind of, well, they have to just kind of feed into that.
that
Is this
missing.
real? Is it not? You know?
And because of the internet being at its infancy, it worked. It worked very well. A lot of people thought that movie was real, that
Yeah.
somebody stumbled upon that movie. I mean, you still have, and because of that movie succeeding, it's, you still got people going. You got movies like Antrim where people throw out these like, pseudo realism kind of documentaries, and then they're like, oh, and this is a movie that killed all the people too. Watch it.
I think people like not knowing if it's real and if it's not, like that whole mind fuck of like
The
does this
blurring the
happen?
lines, but that's
Yeah.
where the trigger warnings need to come to play. Because if
Yeah,
you're gonna go
exactly.
so real, you don't want to trigger somebody with real issue into a real experience.
Yeah, you gotta like at least have a little preparation, I think, of like what you're getting into.
So I think I don't think people realize it, but a lot of people that watch horror have trauma to some extent.
Oh yeah,
Like
that's,
I
that's
think a lot of
probably
us,
like it, I guess.
we consolidate though in darkness, or we get wrapped up in it, or it almost feels comforting to an extent. Because other stuff, it's a good distraction from real life horror, and
Oh, for
and
sure.
I think I think it. But some stuff, like I said, it all depends on the person. It depends on what the topic is. If I just lost my best friend to a drug overdose, obviously, if I just read a book and somebody overdoses, it's going to
Yeah,
trigger me
yeah.
and hit me different than someone that never lost anybody to drugs.
Exactly. Yeah.
So to each their own. That's why I do say kind of put the warning. That's why I'm with the warnings or the trigger kind of just because you never know who's going to read the book and what they just experienced or have gone through, or even themselves. Some people
Yeah.
fight very hard to get out of the darkness, but can get thrown back very easily with just a couple of things.
Oh no, I've seen, because it's written from the villain's perception, right? So it's like it's not sympathizing with the victims of anything that's happening at all because it's written from his perception, like what him doing it. So it's a different. It's also like that's why I think some people have gotten like kind of fucked up from it because it's not, it's not painting a prettier aspect of like how somebody works through something. It's the person doing
Well, there's
it.
no victim there. The
Yeah.
but and it's not really glorifying the bad guy, but it's his. Every side has a story. This
Yeah.
is his side.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's not glorifying it, but it's just showing you it from like how somebody with that mindset would maybe approach it or see it or feel about it.
And I think a lot of people don't put themselves in that shoes or allow themselves to get to that dark state of mind. Or what would I do if I was in this predicament? As dark as grim as it could get, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Or they don't want to put themselves in that
They don't
predicament.
want to, but
Yeah.
but if they were, and to read something from that point of view or to see it from a point of view kind of does probably fuck with people's minds.
Yeah. Because they don't want to sympathize with it. But if you're attached to the character, you're like, well, why do I like this character? And then you're also, some people are reading this first person's character, like his whole story and hating him, but he's the one telling the story. So it's like it fucks with their head too, because they're like engaged in it. But it's like I hate the character telling the story, but you have to like follow him anyway, wherever he takes you.
Yeah, no. But you don't want to ever, people don't want to sympathize with, the bad guy. Well, maybe they do. I don't know.
Some
Like,
do, yeah, it depends on who.
I mean, you mentioned you like, Star Wars earlier. Like, I was a big Vader fan. I always liked Vader. I think
Always.
Empire Strikes Back was a great story. I liked the grim ending of that. I didn't like all the happy endings. I knew there was gonna be one, but it brought a little bit of darkness into it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that's when people really fell in love with villains in Star Wars, honestly.
Well,
'Cause the
yeah, the
villains were
dark
so
side is cool.
powerful.
We got
Yeah.
cookies over here, first of all, right? No, but honestly, you got a cool guy, Darth Vader. You got a mask, but even at the end of that trilogy, the first trilogy, I'm not talking anything else. But you see that even his kind of darkness is peeled back to that human kind of state.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh, you could then even
You
later
sympathize
on,
with him.
yeah, how he got to that point, because there's also the redemption aspect makes it easier for people to sympathize sometimes. But then if you take that redemption out, it's like, oh, kind of fucks with your head. Like, should I sympathize or should I not?
Well, yeah, and that's the whole problem. But not too long ago, the whole United States was like basically in love with Jeffrey Dahmer because of a documentary or a Netflix series. I mean, everybody loved this dude, and they weren't even putting together that this guy like really existed, was out there killing people and doing all
Eating
this
them.
crazy shit. Because I remember him getting arrested and stuff. So it's like, but everybody kind of glorified the dude for some reason because of the actor, probably. I mean, the actor did
I
a
think a lot
tremendous.
of the serial killers get glorified in the films.
Well,
and-
Ted Bundy was a personal guy, though. People really like everybody that ever had anything nice said they really liked the guy. John Wayne Gacy too, nice guy. I mean, at the end of the day, I think these serial killers probably did have a little bit of charm to them because they had to manipulate people. They were manipulative. They
yeah.
weren't just your typical serial killers that would snatch somebody off the street and kill you. It's not like the movies. They actually got to know you, try to get you, lure you, bring you someplace. You would trust them,
and
and then they would do what they do. And to do all that, you have to have some charm. You have to have some riz, as the kids say today. You can't just do that with nothing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because how do you get the people to listen to you? Like, you have to have some.
I mean, even Charles Manson, he had to have something, a quality that he used for bad, but probably could have been used to good, that was able to change the masses or change the minds of people's thought. People listen to the dude. I mean, had he preached goodness, we might have seen something else happen.
Yeah, no, it's there's a power in that ability to kind of manipulate.
There is, and people feed off the power. I mean, I think, but I mean, would you say even as an author, as do you feel you get like a little bit of power if somebody says this book moved me? I feel a certain X way because I read your book.
I mean, it feels awesome to hear that, or like even like when people tell me they were really disturbed by it and they explain like certain like that, because that's what I want you to feel. Or if they'll tell me like, oh, like I told you, the one person, they stared at the wall, or like they haven't been able, like they can't stop thinking about it, and it makes them like it like makes them feel uncomfortable, like things like that. Like, yes, like it actually had an impact on you in some way.
You book scared me to a point. I'm gonna kill my mom tonight.
No.
Would you say, Vic?
You scared me so much. I'm gonna kill my mom tonight.
No,
sorry, Dad. How are you gonna do that? Now we're going back to the reanimator serum.
I'm just saying, they're saying in general.
If somebody told me that their book made me feel like they want to kill their mother, I'd be like,
oh, if a fan said
totally
that,
not my goal.
Be like, calm down, Norman Bates. Relax. Okay,
No,
it's just a book.
All right, easy, relax.
But you would hope that none of the books really would inspire anybody to commit crime.
No. Just make that. I just want to make them kind of just fuck with their head. I don't.
Yes. No, but and I think
it's a little bit, not too much, not over the top, rough.
I don't feel like mine does the opposite. It just makes you like sick with like humanity.
Well, I mean, isn't that the end? Again, I mean, I hate to keep bringing it up, but we talk about Requiem for a Dream. It opens your eyes to this whole underbody world of what drugs really do to the body,
There's
the
an
mind.
aspect of this world that's fucked up. Yeah. And
when you visually or read about it or see it or anything, it's just like, damn, and it always sticks with you, especially if it's, you're at an impacted age. It's like it really sticks with you and it makes you think every choice, it kind of goes back to these scenes of things in your head, or you remember it. Totally can change an outlook.
Yeah. Or imprint and like affect us long term and haunt us later on.
It can. That's good stuff. Now, do you have any plans on writing other stuff? Are you in the works of writing other stuff?
Yeah, I have one that. So I had this book that was like half written, and then the hard drive I was working on got destroyed, and I thought I backed it. I couldn't find it. But long story short, about like I'd say 3 weeks ago, I found the flash drive that had the majority of this book. It's very different. It's actually kind of like an urban fantasy with vampires. It's still dark, but it's I'd say like maybe 40% written. It's a totally different kind of approach. Again, still fucked up and dark, just not in the same
different genre.
Yeah, different genre.
You say there was vampires involved?
Vampires, yeah, it's vampires.
I love vampires.
Yeah, I've always been since I was like a little girl. I've always been like a crazy vampire fan. So I had to.
I'll be honest. Anne Rice got me into vampires. That's who did it for me for the vampires. Anne Rice.
I mean, I love Anne Rice. I I can't remember what actually. I think the Lost Boys got me into vampires,
That
and
yes,
then
that for movies.
yeah,
I ended up reading like the books from Anne Rice prior to watching the movie.
I only read a few of those, and they're all amazing.
I read the first two, then I watched the movie, then I wanted to read the rest of them, so then I really got into the series. Then I met a bunch of role playing vampires that got me to watch even more of them, and then
I moved to New Orleans to immerse myself in vampire culture when I was like
It was a time
18.
time out for a second. Where have you lived? Like, what did you live? You mentioned
I am from New
Australia,
York.
New
I'm from
York.
Yonkers, New York. Yonkers, New York. And then I lived in the Bronx for a bit, and then I've lived in New Orleans. I've lived in Australia, and now Connecticut.
are you yourself a vampire?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Just wondering. I was just gonna ask, like, maybe you've lived like you're like, oh yeah, but I lived in Australia in 1800 though, right?
We don't judge here. You can tell us. We won't judge.
See, now you're gonna ask too many questions, and this is where the freaking, this is where these influences get, you ask too many questions.
Yeah, then I'm gonna have to find you and silence you.
I hear vampire books. If you read a vampire books, they really suck.
Waka waka.
No, but there is a vampire culture, like even outside of like.
Oh, there's
people out there that they believe they're vampires. There are people out there that
there's a culture of people believe they're vampires in different ways. So not so much.
Five vampires, psychic vampires,
yeah, exactly,
spiritual vampires, satanic vampires. Like I've and dived and dived into the whole occult world for like probably 30 something years, and like I've met a lot of different actually types of vampires, from people that actually like got donations of blood, all the way to people that would sit and meditate and steal energies from their neighbor. And the idea of the vampire is is as old as a lot of the cultures that we have in the world. So I mean, to say these things don't or haven't or will never or haven't existed, it's like I don't know. But
and I was just in Transylvania. Was it last summer?
Did you go out there?
Yeah, it was amazing.
That's amazing.
So
See, now I'm starting to get jealous. See, cool. The other place is okay. Australia. It's cool, but everything's fucking upside down, so I'm a little bit hesitant over there. But now you're talking Transylvania. You're talking,
That it was one of the coolest places I've ever been. It was amazing, and like just seeing their culture of like the whole they actually embrace the idea of the vampire because Vlad, and it was
Vlad Dracula, yeah, Vlad the Impaler, and I mean that's where a lot of these things stem from. I mean, he was a brutal dictator, but his practices were written in a way that
a war hero to them. He freed them.
Why not? But what I'm saying, his practices, doing whatever he did with his enemies, brought on this lore of this like vampire, of this Dracula, of this character.
Exactly. I inspired it. So like he was brutal.
What Bram Stoker the movie just shows Vlad, and then it shows what happens to him. He's betrayed, and you almost feel sympathy for the vampire in that point. You're like, Dracula's the man, yes.
Oh, yes.
I've always sympathized with Dracula because I believe he was the victim in all cases. I mean, here's some dude that can't go in the light, has money, wants to buy property. He's addicted to blood regardless.
It's better than Coke.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but it's harder to find. You have to, unless you're off rats and bugs, what are you doing?
You need to lure people there. You need to live, man.
You need to live. Exactly. But no, vampires are, like I said, very, to me, like, while it's not scary in a sense, they're very fascinating. I get fascinated because it's not like, we just talk Vlad Dracula, but then like you got these people that got vampires down by a different tribe. They could be like Nosferatu type vampires. And then they have like all their lore and everything about them and what their characteristics are and where they come from.
Well, I like the human aspect too, because it's somebody who was human turned vampire. And that's kind of like, so they are fully succumbing to their darkness and they'll even lose their humanity. So that's kind of always what fascinated me about it.
Yeah, I mean, even in the movies, we see a lot of the vampires when they get changed or turned or whatever they do. Even in Lost Boys, you mentioned that great flick. But like Michael, he succumbs to it and he loses all his humanity.
Yeah, and he has to fight it. Well, he has to find his humanity, I guess. And
no,
then
but I mean,
Blade was another huge vampire movie for me. Like I remember having
Blade
the
was
VHS
cool.
of Blade. I watched it so much that like I could recite it word for word, and then the VHS just broke, and it was like devastating.
That's when you get the DVD. That came out around the same time.
I
DVDs.
know.
They had a banging soundtrack too with the techno. I
Oh my
love the
God, it was
techno
really
sound.
good. It was drum and bass in there. I had that soundtrack. It was awesome.
It was good. I had the soundtrack. I really did actually like Blade. I thought that was actually that. And what was the other one that came out with the werewolves versus the vampires at the
Oh,
time?
Underworld.
Underworld came out too, and that was like, oh, this is cool.
It was cool for werewolves. It like showcased werewolves in a really cool way, I feel like.
There was a Netflix series a long time. Well, now it's a long time ago, but with Bill Skarsgård. I'm gonna forget the name of it, but it actually has werewolves and vampires
Oh,
and in
True
a
Blood.
different. Yeah. Is it? I don't know if it's True Blood, but
Well, the Skarsgård guy in it, and they had werewolves and vampires.
yeah, no, it's with. Let me see if I can get the name of it. I'm really bad with names.
I am usually too. Certain ones I remember because
What happens is I end up watching these things and then I forget about them, or I end up watching them and just not even remembering them.
That's why kids will school open house today, and their parents are saying like, "Hey, Vic," and I'm like, "Hey, you."
I'm terrible with like actual people. Oh my God. I'm
Oh,
terrible.
Hemlock Grove, yes.
Oh, okay. I think
Hemlock
I've only
Grove,
seen a little bit of that.
and I honestly I watched all 3 seasons with the real intriguing because of the vampire aspect in that, and how there was a doctor involved, and the doctor was keeping these vampires alive, but then they ended up realizing like that they were feeding them just leftover bodies that he was working on and trying his own mutations or whatever he was doing. So like
Oh, I
they
didn't
weren't
see a
even
lot of
getting
that to watch
healthy
that.
blood, so that's why they weren't rejuvenating and still looking older and always feeling sick. And the doctor was kind of stringing them along. It had a lot of different like twists and turns within. But it was actually when I got introduced to Bill Skarsgård, and then I was like so cool to see him when he played in it. So I was like, oh wow, there's the dude from Hemlock Grove.
Oh yeah, so I only saw a couple episodes of it, and I remember liking it, and I just never got to finish.
Well, that's the thing, like the book. If you don't finish it or don't get to it, it's like it just gets put away and
Then you got to rewatch. Yeah.
Got to rewatch. It's like, just might as well start something new.
I definitely don't get to watch as much as I used to, though. I just feel like time-wise.
Well, yeah. I mean, kids will take up most time, especially for like watching stuff. Because I mean, if you're trying to actually like watch it or study to do something with it, it's like it's very hard to pay attention if you got a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to watch it together, you want to be something you both are into, and
yeah, and then, but then, like I said, depending on how old the kid is, you're cutting what you're gonna watch in half. So like half your movie choices that you're trying to watch ain't getting watched.
Exactly.
And then there's still the 50% chance they don't want to watch something else. They want to watch something totally like a cartoon or some.
And then you see it 500 times.
Yeah.
So you're like, okay.
We can do it again.
For the 500th time, let's watch it.
But like I said, it was great though, being able to, like I said, meet people at TerraCon, you being one of them, getting, to see what other people do with their creativity, where they put these ideas and thoughts. That's one of the major things I enjoy about these conventions, is seeing that independent side of it. All the people that are doing it on their own. Yes, the actors are cool, and I've watched all their movies, and this is great. But as far as what's going on and stuff, I again like the smaller person because it's more relatable. If I put my mind to it, I could try to write a book. I could try to write a novel. Like I said, a couple of years ago, I published a few books, through Lulu Press and a few books here, and I made some money off it. They did okay. I did some occult books. They did fine. Nothing crazy, but it, a couple hundred here, a couple hundred there, it all starts to add up.
Yeah, for sure.
I've done stuff with art. I've done stuff with T-shirts, done stuff with, social media, etc. And every time you do it, like I said, it's like selling your creativity. This is great. This feels great. This, you should be proud of that. It's a great accomplishment to be able to do, regardless, small, big, or large.
Selling my body, but that's enough.
What happened?
Is he selling creativity? I feel like I'm selling my body when I express my views on things.
Yeah, but like, I mean, no, I mean that's different. I mean, but like in social media, I didn't take off because of me talking. I took off because of shorts that I found or shorts that I took, key moments in wrestling matches that I captured. It has really nothing to do with me personally.
You were right there for this YouTube Shorts boom.
I was there for the shorts boom, and
there.
I actually got transited into the shorts boom, and I worked with the shorts people for many years because I kept up with going to the shorts meetings and doing all the shit that Google requires you to do to stay part of that community.
It's like a whole approach to it too, though, right? Like it's like
There's all sorts of ways of working algorithms, but then like if you remember the old days when they used to have like the black boxes, they come up with scramblers. Well, this is the same thing. Like they always change their algorithms. So you got to kind of figure it out again and kind of tweaking things and make it kind of fit. And okay, this is working now. Cool. Nothing's ever easy, but that's the same thing with like books. Like you have to shop your book around to see what market is this going to be most marketable in. Who am I going to hit? Am I hitting these crime fans? Am I hitting these horror fans? Who am I hitting?
yeah, you're gonna have to, and then you have to. It is a lot of social media fighting the influencers, making sure they read your book and see what they think of it, and it's all like.
I mean, I'm gonna read. I'm gonna talk about it when I do finish it. I hope it is a fucked up book. I hope I can bring Vic on and tell him how fucked up it is, and he's gonna be like, "Oh my god."
I don't have the kids Monday through Fridays past 5. You know I'm always on.
Well, yeah, I like seeing what your reaction would be to fucked up things, though.
I haven't shown me anything fucked up
Because
yet.
normally it's the same reaction you have now. Nothing. It's just like, oh, cool. We can't get Vic to react.
Because for 5 years I didn't watch any horror movies because kids. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old right now. So I was like watching Disney movies. My vampire movie was Transylvania, the cartoon. That was my down. So I think when I got back to horror, Versace would think that I'm like, oh, I'm wet behind the ears. He'll show me something fucked up. I'll be like, ooh, that's gross. And I was like, that's.
Like I said, now we're gonna get into the August Underground kind of territory, maybe the Fogasky tapes. I don't know. There's a few.
I did get your question right.
Hmm?
You asked me some question about who was some guy, and I said he was a guy from Scream or something.
Yes, you did know that. Yes.
And you're like, okay, you're real.
Oh, I never said you didn't know about horror, but like I said, I try to like if you ever watch the Rails or anything, I try to go through those, and you got a lot of like now people, at least in my algorithm, they have these like icebergs of horror movies. And I try to look for the shit that's in the bottom 2 tiers that are fucking depraved, fucking crazy movies, barely legal snuff. They are legal though, but I'm not talking like war documentaries. I've seen that shit. I've seen that, when we had like ISIS and stuff, they had a lot of that being thrown in our faces. So like not like war documentaries, but there's stuff that is cinematically shot. It's very, very, very disturbing because it's filmed in such a way that it looks real. And it's an independent film, so there's no gauge on where this thing can go. I mean, Vic, I don't think you've ever seen a Serbian film. There's a lot of people that can't get through a Serbian film. There's scenes in that movie that will trigger there's something to trigger everybody in that movie. I've watched it a few times just for the sake of watching. Be like, hey, if anybody asks me, at least I can say, hey, I watched this horror movie. Do I think it's worth the watch?
Like physically ill.
Do I think it's worth the watch? I will say it's worth the watch once if you are into shock horror and understand what shock horror's purpose is. If you're easily disturbed, I definitely don't recommend. I don't recommend people go out and see this movie right now. I would never say like, oh my god, you should check this out. And like, like that's the one movie that I don't play with people with. Like other ones, I'll say like, hey, you want to watch a good love story? Watch Necromantic tonight. You know, it's better than Titanic.
I thought Return of the Living Dead 3 was a love story.
Huh?
Return of the Living Dead 3.
You told me that Return of the Living Dead 3.
I figured that was a love story because, his girlfriend died and he brought her back.
But Vic, you even have to say movies like Hostel kind of give you the creeps.
Hostel?
It's a creepy movie.
You know why is it such a freaky? Because you sit back and you're like, this shit can actually be going on right now.
See, that's the whole thing. The idea that things.
See, and that's
really
what Serbian film does to you. It's like if this shit
sweet.
Can be going on, but if it's going on, what kind of fucking world do we live in?
I know.
And it's like, Jesus Christ, man.
Oh, dude, show one. I want to watch.
I found a thing that streams it. You can do watch alongs. But I mean, like I said, it's probably that would be like top disturbing film. But there's other films with the gore and the murder and the blood that makes it look so real that it's like, okay, what am I watching here? And that's the same with the book. When it starts touching those real emotions, or it starts breaking the reality barrier of realism, that's when it starts to play with your mind a little bit, because that's when it can happen. Well, that's when it is happening. Especially
Yeah,
like if
like
you
if
start reading a book and you start identifying with a character, that can be scary and it can be
that's
good.
even more traumatizing. Like, why am I understanding this?
I mean, sometimes it can be good. Like, yes, oh, cool. Like, I feel like the hero. But then when it's like not the hero, it's the fucking other part. It's like, Jesus Christ, what's going on here? I might need to see somebody.
Yeah, like, what's wrong with me? It's like a lot of, like I say, those dark romance. Like a lot of these women are like, they read it, they're like, why do I like this so much?
Well, yeah, I mean, that is the thing. These toxic relationships, we hear about a lot, but there is this like romancing of it, and seeing this and the abuse and all of it. It somehow has gotten into a form of romance in a small niche.
Yeah, like there's women who love the idea of being chased in the woods with a man with a mask, like, but it doesn't end with them brutally being stabbed, obviously.
No, but look what happened to Linnea Quigley and Trash and Return of the Living Dead. She had these fantasies about men eating her, and she got eaten.
See, it's like,
I
careful
don't
what you
know. Something's
fantasize
gonna
about.
hey, like one of the guests said, be careful what you wish for. I believe him. He was an evil genie once.
Let me ask you a good question, Jessica. With knowing that movies back then, you had your Friday the 13th, you had your Michael Myers, you had your like Leprechaun when it was good. Do you believe these days it's more about money in horror movies these days? It's just gotten so watered down. It's just like the thrill of it's now just.
I think, but Terrifier was the first one was pretty cheaply made, and I feel like that kind of like sparked a lot of people in that old kind of slasher feeling.
Yeah.
But it definitely became more about the blockbuster, like making a million sequels of something because we know it sells, and I mean, all film, like we just keep rebooting things. But I think Terrifier is one of those films that actually kind of changed the industry a little bit. It kind of brought them back.
It did.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
I'm actually a fan though of his movie. I mean, I like Terrifier for what it is. Sometimes slasher movies just don't do it for me because they're not the psychological fuck up that I need. I need something psychologically more fucking menacing than just a clown slashing people's throats. Like the gore.
Nothing wrong with someone gets disavowed. Nothing wrong with that.
No, but it's not scary. It doesn't. It just okay. I've seen this.
He's like, oh, that's cool.
Well, sometimes they make you laugh. You're just like,
that's the other thing. Sometimes I just start laughing, and you're in the movie theater or whatever, and you start laughing at this shit, and people start looking at you like, oh.
Like, well,
yeah, well, I was smoking beforehand, and
mental illness. Sorry, mental illness.
Yeah, well, like, look, okay.
But
I
go to haunted houses and I get like enthralled of like they're beautiful. So that's
that's the thing. I was watching some horror movie the other night. I don't know why, but it just whatever the killer said, it just made me crack up laughing. And here I am just laughing, and I'm like, why? I don't know, but it's fucked up. But sometimes, I mean, there is comedy breaks too, even in horror. I mean, if you look for them, you can find them.
Oh yeah. We get that campiness too sometimes. So
sometimes, yeah, sometimes it gets into that level. But I think the Terrifier series did, I think, wonders for a few things. I mean, the first film that he did, what was it? And besides the circle with the clown, you had Trick or Treat, was it? Or All Hallows Eve. So you had that anthology horror, and you kind of got, the first version of Art the Clown, which was kind of a little bit darker in a way. Janali played, I think, a little bit darker. And the movie was kind of like a found footage film. It was kind of weird. It was kind of freaked the shit out of you. Some kids find a VHS in their candy bag, and it's, a fucked up clown killing people. It's kind of disturbing. Then the first one comes out. And I honestly didn't know what the first one was going to be like. I remember we watched it in 2020, though, and like my whole family had COVID. And I'm like, Ma, we're gonna watch this movie. She was like, okay. And like we get to the scene where the lady's getting sawed in half, and she looks at me. She goes, "What the fuck do you have me watching?" And I'm like, honestly, I never seen this before, but it's kind of wild, isn't it? This lady's getting sawed in half, and she's just like, just shaking her head, and like, it's like early COVID, so everybody's like really sick. I think my dad was in the hospital. It's like,
Oh no,
but
that's good.
and then the second one I actually didn't see right away. I actually saw the third one before the second one because the second one I heard was kind of like blockbuster-ish. But then I heard rumors when the third one was coming out that it couldn't get a major cast because it was doing shit that like nobody wanted to fucking get behind.
No one wants to be involved with.
So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch that one. So I watched the third one next. Then I went back and watched the second one, and I do respect the second one for the cinematic approach. I think it turned into something that it just was far-fetched. It turned almost like a supernatural movie.
Well, I think I said I think they had very little money for the first one, and then they were given a decent, like a lot more. I mean, I could be wrong, but from what I gather, I mean, like they were given a lot more money for the second one, so they tried to utilize it. But it just it's like, and I had students who were like trying to watch it in school. It's like you can't watch it in school, but like they were like people who were like not necessarily like the only other horror movie they knew was Scream, and they were watching that. So it was like a crazy jump. So that's why I was like kind of like wild seeing teenagers being into that.
Well, I
was like,
mean, we were all
wow.
kids. Once we were probably into it. If we had been growing up in the Terrifier phase, I'm sure we'd be watching it.
Oh yeah, I just feel like there hasn't been something like that. For a
No, there
while,
hasn't, because for the
besides
most part,
Scream.
the horror movies haven't really been at that age level or gauged at that age level
Yeah,
that we've seen. And the
except Scream.
reboots,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
well, the
and
Scream, yeah,
it too. It
it
too.
did a good thing, but a lot of them, they get rebooted for the nostalgia of the older person
Yeah.
that grew up with the earlier renditions. I am interested to see. I'm going to watch it tonight because it hit streaming. But that movie Weapons, I heard that did very well in theaters.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
And it's supposed to be a pretty good movie. I am
I heard
interested
that was
in
kind
some
of
of
fucked
that.
up.
Blumhouse puts out a couple of hits. A24 puts out a couple of hits. I know a lot of people give it hate. I actually like Midsummer. I think it's like kind of this generation's Wicker Man. It's a good folk
Oh, that's
horror
a
for what
beautifully
it is.
shot movie too, though.
It is. I just actually got the director's cut too, and it comes with this beautiful book, and then I got the soundtrack. I mean, I would say like it's everything put into it to make it feel realistic. Like when I watch, I feel like I'm there. I feel like I'm on shrooms watching this shit in the summer forever, and like it is. It's much like a fever dream, and similar to like I said, the original Wicker Man. It's like, what am I watching? Oh my god, this is what we're watching. Okay,
Exactly, this is what's happening.
oh, this is what it is. And I
Mhm.
feel like this Midsommar was even kicked up a notch because it had a lot more sexuality, it had a lot more, just craziness at the end going on. And you kind of weren't expecting that. Just some of the harsh kind of realities. Kind of like, I don't know if you ever read the book The Giver, but I read it when I was young.
Mhm.
And that book kind of was like weird to me because like it was talking about the older people being euthanized, and it just kind of was like they were in this kind of weird society where the old were just being put to death, and it kind of just resonated with me, similar to that. Like this, wow, this is weird.
Like what
You
the fuck is
know,
happening?
yeah, because you see the old jumping off the cliff, you see all this going on, and you know that it's part of their society. And this could be a real society in somewhere in Switzerland or wherever, because because we don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Well, I think that's too that people were connecting to, like, 'cause this could be real, because it's like, it was like a film that wasn't. It felt like it was something that could be somewhere else happening.
Yeah, I mean, there's a very big world. I mean, is there eyes and ears on every festival that's taking place 24/7? No. Do people know what's going on in every single village in the world? No. There's probably still places that are undiscovered or newly renovated, I'd say, or maybe newly established. I mean, not everything is. We don't know everything. We pretend we
No,
do,
of
but we
course not.
really don't. We really don't know everybody, and I think I think that's where we kind of, as humans, we kind of mess up. We think we know more than we do, so we kind of misgauge what we should be looking for or even looking at because we think we already know.
I think, well, yeah, I feel like everyone thinks they know everything, and then that's, I guess, maybe that's the life shock when you're like, oh crap.
Yeah, but there's always something to learn. Everything is
Yeah.
always evolving, so you need to learn the newest edition or the newest rendition or whatever is going on. If you just worked off of what you knew from old technology, you wouldn't know how to work the computers today. Well, you'd be
Oh, yeah,
very
I
far
know nothing
behind.
at all. So there's always more to learn. There's always a lot more. Like, I feel like everything, you just have to be open. I think a lot of people are closed off though.
Well, that's the thing. Once we think we know it all, we kind of close our mind to learning new stuff. And then that's when we kind of get in trouble because we stop, being open to new ideas. We stop being new concepts, everything. Everything's just kind of just pushed aside. But,
For sure.
I do look forward, like I said, for this book to come in. And we'll be reading it. Definitely write a review. Definitely will let you know how it turns out and how I liked it, and if I'm all fucked up from it. But no, I mean, I do look forward to reading something. I do respect, like I said, there was another author there that said that, do you want, they had like different books, and one of them was like dark, and I was like, do you want the dark? And I was like, yeah.
Give me that one.
And they gave me like the list of rundown of warnings. I'm like, okay, I appreciate all of these. Thank you. But yeah, sometimes I need that kind of, it's one thing watching the film, but it's another thing kind of like reading, because reading and writing of the novelization of the novel, the book, it has stuff that you just can't get on film, or you just can't get in the camera without making the movie like 6 or 7 or 8 hours long.
Yeah. Especially when you're in the character's head. Like, there's certain things like you can't completely portray.
Yeah, or you just have like a monologue movie. It'd be really weird.
Yeah, it'd be really boring. Or just a series of flashes and thoughts, and you'd be like, what is happening? Which some movies I've seen that, but they try to like display their thoughts, but it's just too much. It's too out there.
Yeah, it's hard to capture those kind of. It's kind of hard to visualize. It's easier to write and describe the feelings on those levels, I think.
And we also,
especially if they're happening so fast.
Our own memory, our own imaginations could be more fucked up than anything like, that someone else can create. You never know.
Well, yeah. Everything. Almost every evil in the world or evil deed in the world came from somebody's mind.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, somebody thought of it. But like you said, depending on where and when, there's a lot of people that would have been like, "Oh my God, Vlad Dracul was this and that." But if you lived out there, he was a war hero. He's like you said, freed a nation. He was considered almost like a god out there in a lot of ways.
Except he took all the poor people though, and then at one point he hated the poor. He had them all come to his castle, and he fed them this giant, like huge, like banquet, and then he locked them all in there and set it on fire. So he's a little fucked up.
Well, he was.
Yeah. But at the same time, he did, he survived so many attacks, and he freed that country. So you guys good and the bad.
But they didn't burn down the castle.
He killed everybody in there.
but no, they didn't tear it down and be like, let's end the town. You can still go to it, can't you?
Well, there's brands, there's Dracula's castle that they call it out there, and that's not actually, like, he didn't actually live there. That's just a different royalty lived there. But then they have his actual ruins of his castle that it was closed when I was there. It opened maybe 2 months after I left, and it's like just the ruins of the castle, and that is where he actually lives. And they didn't tear it down, but it's like deteriorated pretty badly. It's still
cool,
awesome
though.
and beautiful, though. It's really
cool.
And
like I said, it's a cool history.
Yeah, it's amazing. Actually, the town where he grew up was really cool, Sigisora, and that's like the town where he grew up, and they embrace him there. And you can go supposedly to where the house where he grew up in. There's a restaurant there, which I ate in. And upstairs, he supposedly, like, there's debates, but did he really live there? Did he not? But the whole town is just like this beautiful medieval town. It's awesome.
Is it like American Werewolf in London? Like after sundown, everybody just tells you to stay indoors?
No, it's not like that. People are outside for sure.
No, that's good. That's good.
Because then you're like, maybe I do need to go inside.
No, but I mean, it sounds like kind of like where the fantasy and the real meet. You know, it's
Yeah.
like that thin line of here we go, and this is where our stories can turn into greater stories.
Yes.
We can take the real facts and woven in a little bit of this and that and make something really special.
Yes, definitely
And
for sure. Because
and kind of
real
get
life
to
has a lot of
see that.
interesting stories.
Well, yeah. You know, I think I mean, and I think that's why we do get a lot of slasher movies, because a lot of people find the psyche behind the killer to be enthralling. You know, the why, the where, the when, the how, the method. They want to play with the idea. What made this person do it? You know, and it's interesting takes. Like, you know, the original Halloween and that lineage and line and the newer stuff is one way. But if you watch Rob Zombie's, you almost again feel bad for Michael Myers. The kid
Yeah.
was abused. You can see why he acted out.
Understand it, yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, am I supposed to feel bad for this dude, or am I supposed to be like scared of him? What? Like, I mean,
That's
but
kind of
I
like how you
think,
feel for my character, I'd say. Like, am I supposed to feel bad for him? Or am I supposed to hate him?
well, I think you're supposed to like him. He's your character. You created him.
Yeah, no, I'm saying when you're reading it though, like if you like
Oh,
him,
when
you
you're
feel
reading it,
you
yes.
feel guilty that you like him. Like, why
Hey,
do
at
I
least
like
at least you're not one of those writers that like what you write starts coming to life.
Oh no.
You hear about some of them. You know, they write, and then all of a sudden, real life events start happening and coinciding with what they're writing about. And
I mean, there's definitely things pulled from real life, but nothing of the crazy shit is not pulled from real life. But like little moments are. Like there's
Right.
little crazy. I mean, there's some crazy moments that are, but none of the like super fucked up ones.
Well, that's good. At least you know that it's, you
Yeah.
know,
None of those ones.
that's good.
I've had people ask, "Oh, did this happen to you?" I'm like, "No, that didn't happen to me." Like, what the fuck? No.
Wow. Like I said, I look forward to reading it. Do you have any upcoming more like tours or cons to do?
I'm doing it's a 1 day event in Connecticut. I forget the town. It's the punk rock flea market. I forget where. I have to double check Bristol, and that as in Connecticut. And then I'm actually doing the Louisiana Book Festival on November 1st in Louisiana, because a big chunk of the book takes place in Louisiana, and it kind of just all worked out. So I'm gonna be down there, and I realized I thought it's in Baton Rouge, and Baton Rouge is really close to New Orleans. I didn't realize it when I actually booked the festival. So I'll be around there for Halloween, which is really cool.
Awesome.
And that's it for this year. So then next year I kind of have to figure out, there's definitely a lot of cons I want to hit up. I really think that was a good fit for me.
I would
So
definitely
wanna do
look
more
at
of
some of
those.
the monster expos. I know they run in Mass and they run in New Hampshire. And honestly, I mean, I've seen a few authors there. Cool setting. Seemed
Yeah,
like
check
good
this. I haven't
traffic.
been there before.
Yeah, it was they have, like between 3 and like 9 guests, and then they got, the panels and they got all the vendors.
I'm going to New York Comic Con, but that's just as a fan.
Oh, yeah, that's as a fan. But yeah, you
Yeah.
still got to bring your business card, right? You got to give it
Yeah, of
out
course.
when you go to meet the people. Be like, hey, I write a book, read it.
Yeah, exactly.
I do that as a podcaster. I mean, I gave people my card at the show.
Oh, for sure.
And, you mentioned Jason, from Friday the 13th too. I've been in works of talking with him, hoping to get him on an interview for a show, which I think would be a lot of fun.
He's a character.
He is. But these are people that I grew up watching on TV, scared of. So it's great to talk to them now and be like, you're not going to kill me.
What do you think?
Maybe. I haven't been scared of anybody since I met you. I'll be honest.
How do you guys know each other?
Podcasting
Oh.
via wrestling podcasting.
I talked shit about him during one episode.
He did. He was at one point my enemy, and he wrote this whole episode about me having the smallest dick in the industry.
Well, to be fair, I was told that you were bullying people around. You were making fun of them, and that's one of my pet peeves, bullies. So I responded.
And he made this whole episode. Meanwhile, he had misinformation, and eventually, it got corrected that he had the misinformation, so the episode got retracted, and
Dude,
I decided to say, you know what, shit, you're kind of ballsy. That was pretty good, you know.
And then
What
you became
about we
friends.
work a little bit together and see what we can do?
Mhm.
That behaved since.
Because believe it or not, most of the podcasts is, well, yes, they're all petty, but we're not as petty as some think. But podcasters are super petty, unfortunately.
Fair
But-
warning, right?
But we're American, so we need that good ending to the story, see? If this was a foreign podcast, one of us would have been, and the other would have been just running it solo. Would have had that harsh ending.
If you saw Annabelle last Sunday, you wouldn't be here right now.
I was supposed to go. All those tornadoes stopped it.
You know how you hear some stories, maybe some maybe true, maybe some not, but people like around Annabelle and bad things happen to them. Annabelle was so afraid of you coming up there. She had some fucked up shit like a tornado happen to prevent you to come up to see her.
Probably. She knew that I would probably let her out the cage, and they probably just like, fuck this.
Let's not let him come here.
Listen, I'd be like, free the demon, okay? What are you keeping people captured for? Let's be honest here now. If we're going to talk about human rights and demon rights, it should all be equal.
Yeah, it's just a dog.
Why are we locking things away in cages?
Let them embrace themselves.
Without a fair trial. When was Annabelle given a fair trial to be locked away?
True. Did everything Annabelle happen to her in her home?
I honestly, to be honest with you, I've only watched the cinematic versions of what happened. I haven't actually read the case files and the story. And I know there is the cinematic versions added a lot onto it than what
they
actually
always
the
do.
story was. Of course they do. But I heard even with like the last one, they made it seem like it was the Warrens' last case, and it really wasn't. You know, they did stuff after that, and they missed out key people that were important. They kind of changed with some of the family members. And again, you know, we got to remember that the real people, this is real people. There's real families attached to these stories. There's real, you know, people that are still alive attached to these stories too. You know, just because the Warrens died doesn't mean they don't have, you know, everybody else still, a lot of these people still alive.
I think their son does some talks too, I believe. I went to
Yeah.
one of her talks, but I think he took over.
And but like I said, even the, you know, people with the some of the cases that happened, they're still alive. Or the kids of them are. So it's like, you know, they get, I mean, some of them get offended by kind of if it's missed wrong because they think it's supposed to be like almost a documentary. They don't realize like
It's still
it's
just
Hollywood.
Entertainment. Yeah,
It's entertainment. We're here to tell your story, but we're also here to make it so people come and sit down.
Yeah, it makes money.
And I mean, because I mean, let's face it. If Annabelle looked like she did in the movie in real life, nobody would let her into the house anyways.
Yeah, but I know she looked like Raggedy Ann in real
She
life.
did. I was supposed to go up to the main Paracon that Sunday, and the rain all day just kind of kept me afloat. We had a minor flood. It was just like, I couldn't get up there, so I didn't end up going that day to see the doll. I did hear though that it was cool. A lot of people did see her, and they also had the mirror from the Conjuring house there. And I guess a lot of people said that the way they had it positioned, the doll you would see, but the doll would like appear and disappear in the mirror.
Oh,
The mirror image.
Yeah.
I don't know. People were like, some of them were freaked out about it. Some of them had pictures of like the doll having a different smile. I mean, I heard it's pretty airy because they just kind of put you in a room. You're in the room with the doll, and that's it. And you have to sign
Then
away.
they had that story about the guy who moved it and he died apparently and all that.
Yeah,
so
he died, and it's just like, my kid definitely didn't want me to go. He got so afraid when he heard the story because he saw it on YouTube, and he was like, "You're supposed to go see that, aren't you? You're not going."
Once again, you fucked around. They found out. Like the Amazon tribes, they fucked around. They found out.
The Warrens.
Blake, they fucked around. They found out. If I was at a campsite and I heard any old man saying like the tale of Camp Blood, I will be out.
Like, I gotta go.
Yeah. So you guys can stay in this fucking cabin. I'm gone. I'm
No.
gonna be in the hotel down the
Thank
road.
you, Jessica, for coming on. I know we've kept you a little too long, unfortunately. I'm sorry for that.
Oh no, I was saying, oh no, I wasn't doing that. I was saying like, I'm saying, oh, I gotta go. If they can't
Oh,
get, I wasn't
yeah,
saying that.
yeah. No, I was gonna say, I was gonna ask where people can, Amazon. They can find your book right now. Is the main source Amazon?
Yeah. So Amazon, there's Kindle and there's the hard copies there. That's really like right now the only place it's available. So you have to go on there.
Oh, that's good though.
The
Amazon's great
audio
because you get
version?
it. What?
Is there an audio version of the book or just
No, not yet. I want to do that, and I plan to do that. It's just not one done yet. But
You
they
gotta
will.
get one of. You gotta find the right voice actor at the con.
I
and be
have,
like,
I have a perfect voice actor.
Do you?
I just have
That's
to
the
get the whole
key.
production. Yeah.
That's the key to it, is getting the right voice to do it.
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about, I think, the whole scene in general. You end up meeting a lot of great people that have like talents, and all the people put their talents together and end up just helping each other create stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a whole bunch of creative people that want to, like, they have similar interests. So, like, you can feed off each other, you can help each other. I guess, like, even in terms of the vendors there, everyone was so like welcoming and helpful and like rooting for each other. It was really cool.
Well, that's how it should be, honestly, because
Yeah.
there's enough. Honestly, there's enough fans and money to go around. You don't need to, just because I buy your book didn't mean I didn't buy others' books too. I bought every vendor's book because, well, I want to read them all.
Yeah. I mean,
Everybody had a good.
it's a good place
Everybody
to
had.
find stuff,
Everybody
too.
that day had a good pitch for their book. Put it that way.
See, that's awesome. That's, it's like, and it's also, that it's the right demographic because it's appealing to everybody's appealing to like the same group of people.
It is, and I read, for multiple reasons I enjoy it, and also, it inspires me and it gives me ideas. It gets me thinking in a different way than visually watching something, because it has you thinking a little bit more and thinking outside the box even more, because now you're putting the words to a visual rather than the visual and trying to like do the opposite. How could I make this into something else?
Yeah.
You're trying to do the other way, and it's like it's very opening because it makes you think about your own work a little bit different, seeing how other people gauge certain ideas or got around certain ideas and what challenges is always interesting too. Like, how did you touch upon this topic compared to touching upon that same topic?
Yeah, how did you approach it differently and things like that? So,
And
that's where the writing, like that's where you like, you find the writer that speaks to you in the right way and they approach it in the way that connects to you. It's really fun
Definitely.
finding different like artists and writers and all those kind of things that like just connect to you. It's like almost like you're like somebody else is sharing a secret with you.
No, yeah, and it's cool though because everybody does it a little bit differently. Nobody's really the same. Similar to like a director, you're not going to see the same movie kind of, or the same shots, or the same version. You're seeing people redo movies and change the whole thing. It's everybody has their kind of own idea on something, and if they're bold enough and they have the talent to do it, they can put it out there.
Yeah, and it's just it's somebody will appreciate, once you get it out there, it's like finding like the right group of people to appreciate what you're trying to kind of show and what you've created. And I think because I was unsure like different places to go and different avenues, and like the horror community is a really awesome community. They're really open. They're really just like they're supportive in a sense. They, like I was saying, they want to see each other succeed, and it was just like a whole overall, it's a really cool kind of community to be a part of.
It is. Nobody's really trying to undermine anybody. Everybody wants
Yeah.
to root for everybody. Everybody supports everybody. And it's cool to see because it doesn't just happen kind of on the small level. It happens even on the larger level with the guests. They'll even be, amongst each other. They're not so stuck
Yeah.
up. They're very nice. They're like people.
Yeah.
Because I've met a lot of wrestling celebrities and they just act like wrestling celebrities. But like when you get to talk, and I talked to Patty for quite a bit from Frankenhooker, and she was just like a normal person from New York. She was great. It's refreshing to see that because a lot of these people have had success in Hollywood, but to see that they're still human, that yes,
Yeah,
they're one of
for
us
sure.
too. They're a fan of the same things that we're fans of. They're here enjoying, some of the same stuff. Exactly. It's like, this is cool. Now we're all relating on a different level. It doesn't matter our fame, our money, how much we made, where we are in Hollywood, what we're doing. We're all on this. We're horror fans, and we're all the same.
Exactly.
And it's very powerful, honestly. It's a powerful thing.
Yeah, it was an awesome experience. It was just, I never felt like you can never know where you're gonna go into a community if you're the newbie, if they're gonna be hesitant, but everyone was just like so cool and helpful and welcoming.
Well, that's great. Honestly, I'm glad that it turned out as successful as it did for you. I mean, like I said, in wrestling, we were like, sellout's a sellout. Doesn't really matter, But like you said, you sold out everything you had. That means that you were doing something right.
Yeah, so it was cool. And now I know it's bring more than you think.
Well, yeah, I mean, people like that sort of thing. Well, now you kind of gauge the audience of what people do like, and that there is a market for what you were doing, and where to place that market, and where to put and invest in, what market to invest in.
Yeah, exactly.
And like you said, maybe like that first innovation, or when you first did it, you just didn't know where you were going to market, or how to get it to the right hands or the right eyes, because you didn't know quite the genre, like you said.
Yeah.
And when you don't know the genre, that's kind of like, like us labeling a podcast under the wrong information, putting like basketball, and we're talking about
then you get the
horror.
wrong fans there. When someone said psychological thriller this year, I was like, oh, I didn't like think to put it in that kind of I always said like dark literature, gritty realism, and then someone said psychological, so it's kind of like all of those combined, and there's little aspects of horror in there, but it's not like, it's kind of its own thing. But I'd say, yeah, like once you get that label, you feel like, okay, there is a genre for it.
And this is where we got. And then you kind of look around, you see what else is in that genre. It's like, wow, cool, I'm with these guys. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like, all right, this works.
This works. Now, do you do the whole social media thing? Are you on
Yeah.
So where can folks find you?
So Gorgeous, GORE, Jess 13 on Instagram. And then on TikTok, it's the same thing. It's gorgeous_13. And then on Facebook, it's just Jessica Spinelli. You can find me.
Great. Well,
that's it. That's all. I'm not on Twitter. That's the extent of my social media.
Yeah.
X, too many.
I'm on X, but it's like,
Yeah.
I don't get anywhere. Nobody ever likes my post, and nobody ever reads it. I feel like I'm on nobody in a big city.
It's too many to manage.
Yeah, that is true too. After a while, it's like, what do you want to dedicate your time to? I do like.
I'm working for something on YouTube. Me and my friend Natalie, who was vending with me, we're in the works of trying to put together a YouTube channel. We've been to a lot of haunted places.
Yes.
And we are trying to we filmed a lot of different things in haunted places, and we're starting to work on putting together a YouTube channel with that. It's still very much in its infancy. Like, we filmed some stuff out in Transylvania that was at the Witch's Pond, and we were just at the Lizzie Borden house.
Nice.
And we got some really awesome interviews at the neighbor's house where there was a lot of murders that people don't know about. So we're just kind of putting this together, and eventually we're going to launch our channel. We don't even have a set name yet, so it's in its baby.
Well, you got the content, and that's the hardest stuff to get. So that's the great stuff. Keep working at it, honestly. Get that YouTube channel. Don't never give up on that. I think YouTube's a great place. I've since 2020, since 2017, I've been with YouTube, but then 2020, with having the pandemic and being home, I really kind of re-energized it, and with, like you said, the shorts program, and doing different content, changing things up, trying to find different things. But yeah, haunted places is awesome, and especially if, like you said, you've been to like Lizzie Borden's house. That's a great place out there in Fall River.
Yeah, it was
Transylvania. I mean, like, that's hard. That's, like I said,
that's how it started, because that was cool. It was like it's this place called the Witch's Pond, where they say that Vlad was murdered, and it was meant to be this endless pond, but then we discovered it, and there's things about it that we discovered that nobody else has actually documented.
See, that's gonna take off to like the millions level. You're gonna be viral within a year, and then your books are gonna sell even harder. You'll be like, oh my god, and she's an author. Jeez. But that's all it takes, is having really cool footage, or just pushing yourself to get these cool kind of documentaries or miniseries, or even footage done, and questioning things. A little bit of questioning. It's not harmful questioning. It's just a little bit of investigative work, a little bit of digging, And that's where the fun is, right? Like there used to be enjoyment in it, like something like the Goonies, where these kids would just go on an adventure. We're going
Oh
to find
yeah.
this pirates. It's like there's something about that in all of us that we want to go and search for that. We want to go find the next
Exactly.
scariest thing. We want to find a haunted house. We want to find a box. We want to find something because
Some kind of discovery, some kind of adventure.
because we still are adventurous people. Humanity itself is still adventurous. As much as we think we've lost that, we still are, and we love
I
a
mean,
good
it's a huge
adventure.
part of who I am. I feel like I always need adventure. Life gets boring.
We do. It does. That's why I podcast, is to keep it going, keep it real, keep it meeting new fun people. Sometimes you don't get to meet all these people. You do, but you don't get you don't get this time to talk to them. I couldn't sit here for 2 hours and talk with you at a convention. I would have missed half the meet and greets, half of the like. Time is just too much. I couldn't get all this information.
Exactly.
And so I do like to bring on. I like to pick people's brains. I like to get to know people, especially if I'm, if I've bought in their work, so I've invested in them as a creator. I do like to kind of pick their brain a little bit because I like to see where they're coming from with what they've done. Because, like I said, it changes. Everybody's kind of where they've been in this life, kind of, makes what they put out a little bit different or different from the next person because of certain paths that they've taken in life
Yeah,
or
yeah, human
things they've seen.
experience. Yeah.
You might have seen something that somebody else didn't see, so that's going to become part of your novel, and that might make it the better vampire story than the next because you've seen or you've noticed or you've witnessed or you've felt certain things that these other people haven't been able to or didn't get to.
Yeah, that's the thing. The human experience, it's all unique and there's still somebody out there who can connect and relate to yours. So
Well, thank you for coming on, Jessica. It's
thank you
been
for
a
having me.
pleasure. Anytime.
This is
Hope to
fun.
see you soon at a convention somewhere. I might be at that Comic-Con. I don't know.
New York City.
I keep seeing the ads for it. Like now I'm like hooked on
That's
these
awesome. I'm going
cons.
the Friday. I mean, I used to work at Archie Comics a million years ago. And I worked at, I think it was like the first Comic-Con, and it was a little tiny Comic-Con in the basement in New York. And like I worked at it for a couple of years and watched it grow, and now it's massive. I haven't been there in a couple of years, but it's cool to see how big it became.
Yeah. I mean, now I'm kind of just honestly hooked on cons in general, meeting like people and getting shit signed. So I'm like, yeah, let's go. I need this sign. I need this sign. Let's go. Let's drive. But yeah. Especially because it's like my first year, so like I don't have anything. Like I didn't have anything going into it previously signed or anything. So like first con I went to, I met like Linnea Quigley and CJ Cruz and a few other guests, and I was just like, these are my first signatures for the horror world. Great, here we go. And it just started this whole like just kind of avalanche of now collecting horror stuff.
Oh, cool though. And you have a lot of cool ones coming up.
We do. This is con season, so you can't go wrong in September.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
good luck with everything and
thank you
keep
so
writing.
much.
And I do look forward to, like I said, I'm going to read your book. I'll let you know an honest review. I'll write a good review on Amazon, and then look forward to seeing what else you come out with. And also send me links when you get that horror channel up and going with the haunted
for sure.
places, because I would definitely love to like view that because I love that kind of stuff.
Cool. Yeah, definitely.
You better share the link with me.
I will, of course.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like I said, it's still early on, but we got the footage. You just gotta put it all together.
Awesome.
right.
Well, thank you everybody for watching at home. It has been another great night. Stay spooky, everyone.
Stay creepy.